They don't answer the phone. They don't handle anything in the office. Their only job is to handle the lead, overcome objections, get that person to the door. That's the only job that that person should have.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm joined by Dean Hawe. He's the founder and CEO of Renage Media Company, which is a full-service digital marketing agency. Dean, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Chase, for having us. Glad to chat with everybody here on the channel.
So Dean is one of our Eliza partners. We'll get to that in a little bit. But before we do, Dean, Renage Media got started around 2012, you mentioned. That's a good amount of time for this industry. So I'd love to start off with, what have you learned over the past decade in this business? What kind of tips or tricks jump out, lessons learned the hard way? Share with the community.
Yeah, so probably the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last 8 years, 9 years now is that you got to be flexible. You got to be able to adapt to the ever-changing environment. So sometimes you might start with a niche, and that niche is really hot, and because of the economy, what's going on in the marketplace, you have to switch gears. And sometimes you got to change platforms. So in the beginning, when I first launched our company, we worked with like auto dealerships, and we worked with contractors. And then, auto dealers kind of like dried up a little bit right around 2014, 2015. And the marketplace kind of changed because more and more digital stuff came out, making it harder for me to compete with, a service like Car Gurus and cars.com. When they're looking at paying me, they would rather pay somebody in-house to kind of manage their digital marketing. So that kind of changed. And when it did, I decided to go all in with, high ticket medical. So that's the kind of direction I went with, and worked with a lot of chiropractors. We work with a lot of integrated medical facilities, med spas, pretty much any type of medical practice that has a higher ticket customer. So, most chiropractors, they offer like a $30 or $50 adjustment. That's kind of a low ticket. But if they're doing like spinal decompression or treatment for neuropathy, well, those services sell for $4 to $5 to as much as $10,000. So because of that higher ticket service, there is a longer sales process. And sometimes you just can't acquire that type of customer just by focusing on like Facebook. You got to understand the full buyer journey from start to finish, so that way you could develop a strategy to acquire people at both ends of the funnel. So by doing that, you have to have a more rounded service that you provide to your clients, or you're going to have fragmented marketing. And that's probably one of the biggest problems with most business owners today, is that their marketing is fragmented. They might hire somebody that does Google or SEO, and they might have somebody else that does SEO. They'll have somebody else that does their website, and none of those people are talking to each other. So they're all going in their own direction, and the business owners left going, what's going on? They really don't have any idea what's really working. And so even though they think they're getting results here, what they're really getting the results is from somewhere else, but they really don't know. So they'll fire the one person because they think they're getting results, say, from Facebook. But really what's going on is that traffic is initially starting on Google, and then it ultimately ends up on Facebook. So they're not tracking that traffic in that way, so they don't really know how it's going. So that's the service that we provide for our clients to help them take their business to the next level.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack there. At the very end, I like what you said about Google to Facebook. I think that's a really strong 1-2 combo that people overlook, right? You run Google ads, but then you retarget in Facebook, right? So the interest comes off of Google, high intent, but like you said, with higher ticket items, it's often a longer sales cycle. So you want to make sure that you're retargeting where they are frequently in Facebook or Instagram and whatnot. I love long sales cycle, because with HighLevel, I feel like you have such an edge when it comes to longer sales cycles, right? Because you can build automations that keep people engaged through that whole process. But I love going high ticket in general. And I think that's, it's sort of a veteran move. I feel like when you come into the industry, you start out with those easy wins, like the $40 Cairo appointment or something. But over the years, you quickly realize, like, man, maybe we need to take a different tact here and go less volume but higher ticket. And you often end up in places where it sounds like you've found that are much better positioned to be in. We used to do marketing for like um, gastro doctors, things that like don't jump out. It's not very popular, but man, it's high ticket. They don't need that many wins in a month to be excited. So I love the idea of digging into a niche and figuring out what is the high ticket side of this industry and sort of making a name for yourself there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So talk to me about lead handling. So I feel like again, a veteran agency, at some point, you always butt up against this idea of like, should we become a call center? Because, right, you can do all this stuff to get leads and nurture them to appointments and things like that. But at the end of the day, your client has to be able to close people. And a lot of businesses have a challenge with that. So I feel like most agencies at some point are like, should we start a call center? And that's just a big undertaking. So apparently you started going down this road. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest challenges that we were finding with at least our clients is that typically the lowest paid person in the office is the one that's handling the leads.
Isn't
So
that nuts?
isn't that nuts? I mean, you're betting your $1 million practice or your $1 million business on somebody that gets paid minimum wage to answer the phone, and they wonder why their marketing campaign doesn't work. So we have addressed that by offering lead handling for those particular clients, and we actually provide training. So ultimately, they're any business is going to have a better result if they have a dedicated lead handler that's their only job in the world. They don't answer the phone. They don't handle anything in the office. Their only job is to handle the lead, overcome objections, get that person through the door. That's the only job that person should have. And most of the time, local businesses, they don't have that person in-house. So
Mm-hmm.
we provide that solution for those people or those businesses to, handle all their leads, get those people through the door. And on the backside, we provide training so that way we can help the office train a salesperson. We actually help them with hiring and putting up the right person in place, because ultimately the business will get a better result if they have someone in house that knows the business intimately, with everything about the business, knows things about the family, about the clients, and only someone in house is going to really understand that truly, to the extent of I'm going to spend 5 grand with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we are able to bridge that gap to help people to get to that point and help them actually scale their business, because this is the major bottleneck for every business that does business through either through a virtual consultation or a one-to-one consultation. You got to get that person to that event, and you got to have somebody that can handle those objections to get that person to that point, or you have no chance of actually making a sale. So we
Mm-hmm.
can we can provide that for every one of our clients that we work with.
That's really interesting. So let's talk about that a little bit. I feel like that's a really good one-two combo of having a sales training offering in addition to the done for you lead handling. And I wonder how are you met with that when you pitch it to, because like you said, most businesses don't have an internal, they're not set up right to close leads internally. It's often the lowest paid person, like you said. So when you go in there and you're like, hey, look, all these leads that we're generating, let's take a look at how they're being handled. It's terrible, right? And it's pretty easy to get the owner to say, yeah, this is bad, like this is good at all. And so then you say, great, how are we going to fix it? Let's hire somebody for this role that we can train them. How does that go over compared to saying, how about we just do it for you?
Yeah. So up until we were handling the leads, anytime that a business owner came to me and said, "Hey, Dean, we're not really getting the results that we think we're paying you for,"
Mm-hmm.
and the question says, "Hey, I want to cancel," or "No, I want to try something else." The very first thing that I do, since I brought on HighLevel, was I said, "All right, well, before you cancel, let's just look at your campaign. Let's see what's really going on." And so I open up the campaign. I look at the last 5 leads that they got. Oh, Mr. Business Owner, other than this automation that we set up for, nobody has ever reached out to these leads. So is it the marketing that's not working, or is it your sales staff, your office staff that's not doing their job to follow up with them. And they said, well, my office staff is following up with them. And I asked them, well, prove it to me. Can you prove it that they're doing it? Can they prove it? Well, no, they do it at the office. Well, if you can't see it and I can't see it, it didn't happen. So
Hmm.
unless we know, and now that we have HighLevel, I make every one of my clients, I won't even work with them unless they are using HighLevel for all their communication. I want all the calls, I want all the leads, I want all the emails, I want all the text messages done in this platform. That way, in developing an ad strategy, I can actually see what the conversation is happening in real time, and I can make adjustments based on what I'm seeing in the conversation. So if you really want to take your business to that next level, you as a business owner have to understand what's happening in the conversation, because the more yeses you get, more likely it is for that person to take that next step in the buying process and ultimately spend money with you. So if you can't see it, you can't improve it. And if you can't improve it, you can't scale it. So that's, the bottom line why we have, the lead HighLevel in place. And now that we have our lead handlers taking that role, now I can hold my staff at a higher standard. If they're not doing their job, it only takes me a second to reach out and say, what are you doing? And I have somebody that's constantly watching this on every account that they're attached to, and we know exactly what's happening on a daily basis. So the people that we do the lead handling for, we don't get those complaints that, hey, we're not getting results. And then I can look at, once we get people through the door, I can clearly see on who's closing or not closing, because if the office is doing their job, they should be marking that in HighLevel that it's a one case. And for those that don't know, HighLevel can be attached to Google and Facebook, and we can create specific audiences off our buyer data, which ultimately, Facebook and Google were designed for e-commerce. So it's easy to see buyer data on an e-commerce website. A person goes from one page to another page. That lets Facebook and Google that I just bought whatever the thing I bought. Well, that's really difficult to track with an offline business like a chiropractor or a med spa. Unless you tell me on who closed, I don't know. And I don't know how much they close it for. So I can't really tell you what the real ROI is because you're not reporting it. So if they're using our system, one, we're tracking it. We know exactly what our ROI is. And then we could take that data and actually automate an ad that goes to that data and says, hey, Facebook, I want more buyers. Give me more buyers. And Facebook algorithm will go out there and start looking for buyers or people at least demonstrating the behaviors of your existing buyer market. So now the client gets better results all the way around, and you continue to scale because now you can prove that it's profitable.
Yeah, that's so great. And that's why we're so excited about Eliza, right? To take agencies like yours and make it even easier for you because it plugs straight into HighLevel, right? It was built to manage across HighLevel accounts so you can have your team who's already doing this just do a quicker, more effective job, easier for them. But I think you as a partner, we're so excited to roll this out because just like we've been talking about, once you get someone on HighLevel, that's step one. And then you have to hammer them to use the system, right? Like you're saying, if you're not telling us what's going on, then how can we even have a conversation here, right? Like we can see what we're doing, what we set up to happen automatically, but you need to be making the calls from the system, the emails, the SMSs, so that we can see what's going on. And not just that, but you need to be marking the opportunities that close as one, because then we can report on that information. And I think it sets itself up so nicely once you get it to that point, because like we talked about, odds are when you go in and look at what's going on, it's probably not going to be optimal. And it becomes an easy conversation of, now with Eliza in play with partners like you behind it, you know what, we should really talk about how we could take this off your plate. Let's take this off of the front desk person's responsibility list and let's put it into the hands of professionals who are going to close these deals that you're paying us to generate. And I think it's really going to be a game changer. We're super excited about it as we continue to roll out more and more features of Eliza.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're super excited about implementing it across our platform. And when you're dealing with hundreds of clients a month, Like you said, it just makes the whole process so much easier. We just go on one thing and you can manage everybody from one little dashboard.
So for people who are watching, who like what we're talking about here, who it makes sense, where do they head over to? RenegadeMediaCompany.com to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can go to RenegadeMediaCompany.com, or if they want specifically about the lead handling service, they can go to Eliza.RenegadeMediaCompany.com, and then you could either book a time on our calendar and have a quick conversation about how we can help you specifically with your business, or if you have a kind of good idea on like where your campaigns are performing, you can go ahead and actually purchase one of our programs. So whatever way you want to do it is fine with us. But the easiest way to go to RenegadeMediaCompany.com, fill out our questionnaire, book a time on our calendar, and we'll have a conversation. We'll see what we can do and how we can help you. And we'll provide a strategy to help you take your business to the next level, regardless of where you're at today.
And Dean, as far as lead handling, do you guys work in all different industries? Or I know we're talking medical. It sounds like you guys do that day in and day out.
Yeah, so we can work when it comes to lead handling. We can work with all industries. Our experience is with high ticket. So, if you have a longer sales process, which if you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a service provider, your fees are $3,000 a month, $3,000 or higher, you're probably considered a high ticket. So you're going to have a longer sales process. So, having somebody that can handle those leads for you, to book those appointments, to follow up with those appointments, to make sure they show up, ultimately you're going to make more sales. So if that's your type of business, we definitely have experience in that arena. So it doesn't matter if you're a contractor, an auto dealership, you're a plumber. Those people make tons of money. We can help you with getting people to your appointment and making sure those people show up. So we have experience in all those different industries.
Awesome. All right. So head on over to Eliza.RenegadeMediaCompany.com. Dean, thanks so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next one.